Hello, Taurus. Welcome back to Mind, Body, and Heart Tarot Therapy. I'm here to the reading for March 2020. Hope you're well. Yeah. Still Mercury retrograde as we speak. We're gonna have a major shift. Saturn is going to move in Aquarius on the 22nd of March. So that's going to be quite a shift for all of us. But yeah, let's see what's going on with you, Taurus. This is a general reading for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. If it resonates, it resonates. And if it doesn't, then it's just not your reading. The Empress. There you go. This is your card, Taurus. Seems to be your current energy. Okay, that's a bit too many. Okay. Oh, wow. The Lovers, the Knight of Cups, Strength, and Nine of Wands as your challenge. That's quite a group for your challenge. All right. See what's your focus? The Devil. You've got quite a reading here, Taurus. Quite a reading. What's your advice, Taurus? Five of Swords is your advice. Okay. Now let's see what's the future energy. The Sun. Yay. That's good news. An underlying energy, we have the Two of Cups. I think relationships is the theme of this month for you, Taurus. I'm going to put this down a little bit because barely can see the cards. No. Anyhow, yes, your underlying energy is the Two of Cups. That's the theme of your reading, the theme of your month. I'm going to pull out the clarifiers. Oh Lord, what's going on in here? Okay, so Four of Cups as your current energy along with the Empress. 10 of Pentacles with all that group over there as your challenge. 9 of Swords with the Devil as your focus. Knight of Pentacles with the Five of Swords as your advice. And the Page of Pentacles with the Sun as your future energy. Judgment with Two of Cups as the theme of your reading, the underlying energy. This is two, and these are two tens, and yeah, they're actually related. Judgment with the all the twos. Yeah, sorry, it's quite a heavy energy here, and I was just noticing the wings, both red wings of these two angels and this, well, lion angel, whatever that is, that's watching over these two lovers. So I think, yeah, well, this month it seems to be like a major change in your relationship dynamics. And that may be for the good or for the bad, depends how you look at it, how you perceive it, but I think this change is needed because this is a karmic thing. It's judgment, it's major arcana, it's an end of a journey. It's a sort of a wake-up call where you take a moment to really honestly simply check in with your soul's journey and with your life's journey, kind of where you're at in your life. It's an assessment that's not done from a place of funny judgment. So you're not going to judge yourself based on good or bad or things like this. It's more about really just seeing where you are to understand what you need, to understand how you steer the, which direction you steer the ship, and what you're navigating here. Two of cups is about really great relationships where everybody's showing themselves fully, not just showing the parts of me that I like, but being very authentic and honest and being curious about each other, not expecting each other to fill your cup, that type of relationship. And maybe that's what you're working towards. Maybe you're working towards showing up from this place of real authenticity. And sometimes, like, this is something that's great with relationships and with people in general, is that we do mirror each other. We also project on each other, that's for sure, but we definitely mirror on each other, and that's a great tool. Because, for example, if there's no people around me, like, there's that saying that you're enlightened until you spend a weekend with your family or your wife's family, or I don't know, I don't remember exactly the saying. And that makes so much sense if you think about it. If we don't get triggered to where the sore points are, we forget they exist, and if we spend time in solitude all the time, or if we surround ourselves only with people that don't trigger us in any way, but just sort of like, I don't know, confirm our version of reality, and we live in a bubble, then we don't really, you know, grow much, and there's no real change happening. But in a relationship where we show up fully, and we really we really engage our 100%, that's where we can see where the real triggers are, where I need to focus my healing and this type of stuff. And we can do so from a place of mutual support and love. That's pretty much what this 12 cup is all about. Cups. Yeah, it's a big wake up call, though. It's something that needs to be thoroughly what's it assess. You're going to really assess the whole relationship story, and you may find out a lot about yourself. You may find out a lot about your journey, and where to focus your own healing. The Empress with the Four of Cups as your current energy. Well, you see, the Empress is all about loving kindness, loving awareness, being connected with the cycles of the earth, being very much into the, you know, connected with her body, connected with the cycles. That's really, really important. I see the crops here, and it just reminds us that things take time. Usually she's also depicted pregnant, showing again cycles of creativity, cycles of gestation, cycles of, I don't know, when can you need to wait. I don't really know how long it takes for crops, this type of crops to grow, but you need to wait until the right season for this, for you to gosh, why are the words leaving me right now? Okay, I'll take a moment to just come back here fully. So I think, yeah, you are in your element, you are in your energy, you're aware that you can be this you can embody this archetype. This is Venus in Taurus. This is Venus being at home, being in your senses, being joyful, being alive, feeling very much alive. And yet you have this Four of Cups here, which is pretty much the opposite. It's period of reflection, of a little bit of numbness and apathy, where we don't really feel that much. And that's a good cycle to be in as well. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes that provides the space that we need in order to assess our emotional states from a place that we don't get overly triggered and this type of stuff. Um, so maybe right now you're kind of like going back and forth from this place of being fully sensual and very much in flow with the cycles of the earth, and then go into this type of retreat mode where you don't really feel much of anything. And it can happen sometimes that you may indulge in your senses or overindulge in your senses in order to feel something at all. Well, yeah, maybe we're going back and forth here. I think that these two cycles appear like kind of like coexist, and they appear at the same time because it shows you something that you really need to see, and we're getting right there now. It's kind of like, having the overlap between two cycles that are not completely different. It's just that the focus is a little bit different. Like the Empress isn't necessarily not including reflection. I think there's a lot of reflection where you're so close to the cycles of the earth. It's just like less about like really sitting with my emotions and understand everything. Is more about just being. And yeah, challenge. Lovers, this type of relationship, but this is not just this one relationship you find yourself in, or this current relationship. This is more about a lifelong, generational, even karmic relationship story. What's the love story in your life? What's the love story that you look up to? What is that really, really triggers you, or what is it that really, what are you idealizing in terms of love and relationships? You know, that type of stuff. And with the Ten of Pentacles, I think is really important. Is like, what have you been inheriting from your generations, from generation to generation? What were the type of relationships that you witnessed? What was the relationship of your parents? Were they still together? Are they still together? Were they nurturing with each other, or were they at each other's throats? I see like the wounded warrior here, and I see strength coming up. I also see openness and love, maybe a little bit of emotional neediness as well, and codependency. So these are like whatever you witnessed in your early childhood, and in you can look back to your generations to understand better where you're coming from and your patterns, and do so again without judgment. We may come, like our lives have been generally good compared to the life of our parents or grandparents or grandparents, whatever. Like times have changed. We have much more, I don't know, comfort, less poverty, criminalities, not as big as it used to be. That's kind of stuff. I mean, like, if you look at the statistics, we're actually living in a quite a good time. I know it doesn't feel like it because everything is culminating towards something maybe more insane they could even imagine. But at the same time, we had a pretty nurturing environment to sort of be. There were no, um, well, there are wars into the world, but not at the scale of World War One and World War Two, for example. Okay, let's not launch this conversation that's very debatable about I don't know, East West and politics and ideologies and all that and capitalism, and this is not about that. This is really much more about really looking at your family history here, and especially your family sister history relating with love. If you're coming, for example, from a very abusive relationship, that's how you understand love. Okay, your rational mind may be like, okay, that's not really love, that's pretty. But when the only way you get attention from your parents is through, I don't know, abuse, then sometimes we associate love with abuse. And, check what's your attachment style. Can have a healthy attachment, or we can have all kinds of other attachments. For some reason now the names don't come to me, but it's like avoidant, or I don't know, the clingy one, or the ones that's passive aggressive. They have proper names. Look them up on internet. You're gonna find a lot about that. But I think that's relevant for you right now, because these wounds are coming up, and you seem to find it difficult to be within your strength and to tame your inner beast, your wildest part. So this lion, instead of like being petted and joyful here, might eat you up from the inside, or you might throw it out there and at other people, and it can like just like releasing the beast. Or you can come up from the other side where you're completely codependent and you're putting your heart on your sleeve and you're like looking for love, looking always for somebody to reflect back at you just how amazing you are and how much you really need to have someone confirm your reality and give you approval of some sort. Look at your family history, look at your tree, look at what's been going on in there, and try to understand it again. This is like a very clear assessment. This is that type of overview that you just zoom back and you understand kind of like your patterns and where it's coming from. That's really giving a lot of comfort rather than judgment if you're doing this from a grounded place, because you realize that it's not your fault. You realize that whatever type of relationship dynamics you may have had, where of course you might have done mistakes and you might have perpetuated certain patterns and so on of kinds. And if you think you haven't done any mistakes, maybe think twice. We all make mistakes. Also depends how old or younger you and how much you've been having yourself as a witness, let's put it this way. But yeah, if you this is really just like looking back, taking a step back and watch your life story and your parents' life story and your grandparents' life story as if you were watching a movie. Yes, you can get excited or sad with the story, but you are not you don't identify with the story, right? This is pure assessment and information. And you're going to find that place where the wound really is. Because even though things look quite good in here, there's a deep wound that you need to find in order to find allow this real change to happen in your relationship, in the way you attach. We all need relationships. We are wired for relationships, and we can have healthy attachments if we go and find the core wounds and learn to have the strength to sit with them, to nurture them, to not tell myself that this is bad, don't do that, oh, I don't want to become like my mom or like my dad. I don't want to repeat the same mistakes, and then we end up like running away from it, and we end up literally doing exactly the same thing. I don't know, it was very recently. I heard a story from someone telling me that, yeah, his father abandoned him when he was young, and weirdly enough, abandoned him, like yeah, broke up with his mom and wasn't much part of his life. He was there in the background somewhere, but quite far. And weirdly enough, when the guy got older, realized, like, I don't know how, like, my dad wasn't much in my life, but now I realize I'm so much like him. And obviously he hated that because he didn't want to be that kind of person that would abandon a child. That's how he perceived it, you know. It's interesting to see like how we're becoming what we don't want to, what we're running away from. If that's the case, is have the strength. You do have the strength. Like, these cards appear because you can do this. It is challenging, but you can do it. You can have the strength to find that core wound and treat it with, like, you know, I see this nerve cups coming here, treating it with love and respect. Own it. It's there, it's been in your family, it was not your fault, but you are able to go there and give it love. Because what was lacking all the time was love. People can only love from the place that where they come from. It's not your parents' fault either, and it's not their grandparents' fault either. They only did what they thought was best at a time for whatever circumstances. There's something that we all need to remember. We all doing our best. Our best. We really do. We, everybody, even the worst of the worst that we consider to be, they still think somehow that they're doing their best, or they're doing this as best as they can, given the amount of toxic behavior or poison that has been instilled within them from very early age, which basically means lack of love. So that's the only way we can quantify these things. How much love have you received? How nurtured were you? And how nurturing were your parents with each other? What's the model that you have for love? And how have you been changing or perpetuating that model within your relationships, past and current? That's very important for you. Focus. Seems that the focus is on fear and codependency. Seems that focus is like, really, this is the opposite card. The devil and the lovers are mirroring cards. Look at them. The devil is also a card of yeah, it's Capricorn, is that energy, but it's of the mind, really. It is in our mind that we create these shackles that we're locking ourselves. These are the chains that are holding us back from experiencing love. There was that beautiful poem from Rumi saying that your task is not to seek for love, but to seek and destroy. I don't know if it was like that, within like all the barriers that you've built against it. You know, does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. These are such barriers. These people are not binded by love. They're binded by chains of lust and codependency and that type of stuff. You know. So your focus here is like, okay, look at what you're afraid of. What are your inner demons? What are you afraid of, especially in a relationship? Are you afraid that you're going to be abandoned? Are you afraid that you're going to be hurt? Are you afraid that you're going to be rejected? What is it that you fear the most? What we fear the most is guiding us to where that wound is. That wound that's been in your family for generations. This is more like family karma. It's not just yours. So healing this wound is going to heal the karma of your whole family, or at least this part of the family that's been carrying this wound. Can be your mother's side with the Empress here. I don't want to go not too much into feminism and this type of stuff, but a past generation are known to be quite abusive to women. You know, domestic abuse had become a crime only fucking recently, like really, really recently. Not long ago, it was very normal to strike your wife. When if a woman would go to home doctor, sorry, to police and report her husband, she would have been like laughed at. And that's in many countries. Don't think that if you come from a very modern or civilized country now, it has been like this for forever. It hasn't. These changes and come on, I mean, there's still a lot to be changed. But these changes that we have now in some countries, because it's not in everywhere, um, are still really, really new compared to, I don't know, human history or the one that we know so far. Anyhow, let's go back to your focus of looking at your fears, finding that wound where when you look at the fears. It's a very important practice working with fear and working with um, our craving. The devil talks about craving as well. What is it that we crave? What is it that thing that we crave so much that no matter how much you get of it, you just want more, you feel empty. It just feels like really, really empty, like feel like a hungry ghost, that type of craving. And that's usually some type of feeling the need to be special, the need to be treated specially, the need to be better than, especially with the Five of Swords here. We're getting there. Well, let's get there since we're at it. By focusing on your fear, this is what may show up. It's your advice. Really look at why and when do you need to win over other people? When and why do you feel the need to put other people down? Recognize when that happens, not judge. It's not about judging, it's not about telling yourself that you're a bad person or a good person or whatever. This is not about that. It's not about putting yourself down. It's not about turning on yourself. This is really about figuring out when and how does this happen. Because that's again like that deep wound that's been coming from a lifetime and many lifetimes, many of maybe of living it with a certain energy and certain dynamic is there. It's a place of vulnerability. We're becoming aggressive, or we're becoming like I know bullying or putting someone down when we feel small, when we feel vulnerable, when we feel afraid. If we're feeling like, everything is good, I'm grounded, I'm safe, there's no reason for me to show up like this. There's no reason for me to pull my sword out and fight with you. You only need power when you lack it. And it might have been that back in your past, if in the love stories in your family had been maybe a lot of power struggles. With the Knight of Pentacles here, I think it's really important for you to hold a little bit and simply pause. See, these guys just like the Knights talk about expansion and messengers and growth and so on. But this guy is kind of like really just observing the ground, seeing where should he go in order to expand this realm and explore and experience, you know. He's not just reactive, he's not just going to wherever, he's like planning up something. It's very earthy energy as well. So I think it's really important for you to just pause and see when this happens. When am I becoming a little bit aggressive? When am I becoming too defensive? When am I becoming passive aggressive? When am I becoming, I don't know, arrogant? Or these can show up in so many different ways. And I must admit, I mean, like, I hold this energy every once in a while as well. We all do. This is not something that's just specific to you, Taurus. It's you, the bad person that's doing this, all this. No, this shows up for you now because it's important for you in your health, in your journey. Because you want to heal your relationships. You want to finally free yourself of a very particular pattern of this judgment here. And I think this is very important. This is information for you. When am I becoming aggressive? When am I becoming defensive? When am I trying to shut somebody else down or push them, you know, like silence them? Or when am I like looking for a very particular reaction? If I don't get it, I get angry. Just stop and see, give yourself space for it. This will give you great benefits of the sun coming there in the future. And the Page of Pentacles. It's a completely new opportunity for you to show up, first of all, to yourself in a different way, you know, with freedom, with love, feeling safe, not feeling always like you have to watch your back like this guy does over here, or staying free in fear like this guy does here with the Nine of Swords, not being able to sleep, being afraid of, you know, pretty much everything. Fear is also information. Everything is information. And your emotions specifically are there to inform you. But you do have to feel them, and you do have to listen to them, and to take your time with them. It doesn't mean reacting, it means learning to decode them. If you feel a lot of negative emotions, that's a signal from your body or from your system in general that something is hurting, right? It's the same with just the physical body. If I didn't have like my pain, my this tactile, I would go to the candle here and I would just like keep my hand in the fire for a long time, and I wouldn't know that I would burn unless I have my sensors to tell me pull your hand away. They're informing you of something. Most of the time, we don't really know how to interpret our emotions, at least not nowadays. For some reason, we completely missed school on that. But you're learning here with the Page of Pentacles. You're learning to get the information from your own body. You're learning how to connect with the earth. You're learning to come back to this whole wisdom of the Empress, you know, that you are holding right now. That's why you're grounded enough to get to see this reading. For those of you that stayed all the way, I'm sure that many people got annoyed by now, and I get it. I mean, like, this is a sensitive topic, isn't it? But if you stayed all the way here, and if you relate to if you resonate with this reading, do you know that there's good times coming here? Just be present with this. I know, I don't like this. Just do it. It's so easy. It sounds like it's not easy. Definitely, it's not easy. But you are ready. You've got what it takes. You have the groundedness of the Empress, and you have this judgment here. It's big deal. And I keep saying judgment. I think I saw judgment in all the 3 readings I've done. No, this is the 3rd. Anyhow, it seems it's a very judgment month so far. And it makes sense with that. Saturn is a very Saturnian card. It makes sense with the shift of Saturn. We kind of we need to kind of like really look at what we've been working with Saturn for the past 2 years, 1.5 years in Capricorn. It's moving to Aquarius only for a few months. I think it's 3 months, and then it's coming back to Capricorn, and we're going to sit there for 6 more months, and then it's going to go back to Aquarius for good for 2 more years or something like that. So it's an interesting shift of perspective and that's what can help us, that shift in perspective. Saturn in Capricorn and Saturn in Aquarius is very different taste. And I think that you get a good view on something that you actually can control. You know, when we go into this Five of Swords energy, we tend to want to control other people. We can get very controlling. What have you been doing? What are you doing? You know, we need them to give us a certain response so that we can make sense out of our reality. Because the devil is behind our back, driving us from our fears, and we're afraid to look at the things that we're carrying within ourselves. Most of the time, that's just lack of love. I'm just afraid to look at the side of me that I'm most terrified of within myself. I know that I'm afraid that I will become like my mom, my dad, my grandpa, whatever, who's an anti-role model for you. Or afraid that some of the things that they thought I will become are real. With my mom, for example, would have told me most of my life that I'm lazy. Maybe I've been working hard my whole life to prove her wrong, or if she would have told me, I don't know, that I'm stupid or that I'm something. I would work my entire life to prove her wrong, and deep down inside I would hold the fear. The biggest fear in my life would be that what if she's right, that type of stuff, you know. Look there, that's where the information is, and you will see this, like this, you have the strength, you have the possibility to approach this with loving awareness, with loving kindness, with the strength that comes from taming your wild side rather than force anything. This is pure kindness and connection. So yeah, this is seems to be a pretty good month for you to work on this. It's a great opportunity, but it's not going to be an easy ride. At least, you know, that's how it feels here. It's a very supportive energy, and I think this is why this Four of Cups is here. Like you need to be a little bit emotionally numb in order to look at this with a cool head and to be able to stay focused. Otherwise, you might get over triggered and you want to just check out. The impossible made possible. I like this. I really like this because, you know, when we're here, you have the devil and the Nine of Swords, for fuck's sake, and look at all this army of challenges here. It may feel sometimes impossible. I'm like, okay, yeah, well, I have this been happening for generations. Who am I to change anything? This is just perpetuating. It is what it is. Fuck that. No, the impossible made possible. I want to read this for you. This is number 9. Okay. So the poem from Rumi says, love brings the sea into boiling and turns the mountain into a pebble. Love creates infinite openings in the dark sky and shudders the earth with its magnitude. That's what love does. Okay. Now let's see what's the... it's not that long. I might actually read it all. We only limit what we believe to be possible by our lack of imagination. The divine has recourse to all that is and all that is yet to be. Is there any limit to the resources of the heavens? No. So then why has not every impossible dream now been rendered possible, indeed manifest in shining glory upon the earth? The human heart knows everything in vision can manifest according to divine timing and grace. Yet the mind does quake with fear so much that it will not listen to the heart at times. That's the fear that we were talking about here. That fear is a childlike nightmare, that you should offer yourself up to the sacred loving power of the great creator you might be found to be lacking. The mind holds itself captive with dark fantasies of that profound rejection and then avoids confronting it directly at all costs. It creates barriers instead, truly nothing more than lines in the sand, yet believed to be forts. Holy goddamn Christ, that was exactly what I was trying to convey here. Thank you, Alana Fairchild with Rumi Oracle. That's exactly what I was babbling about earlier. Of this whole family history and this whole fears that are pretty much in the mind with the Nine of Swords here and the Five of Swords, where we just avoid to confront directly where the wound is, and we've avoided it at all costs, but it shows up in these weird behaviors that we display. Okay, so let's keep going. But what strongholds can resist love? It is like water. It steps into every available space and changes from form to survive in every environmental condition. With unfailing intelligence, it creates life, from steam to ice, rainfall, the river and ocean, rain descending into snowflakes, snow capping the peak, expressing itself with beauty and genius. It nestles under the earth and rises to the sky, only to return to the earth again. It will erode blockages and prevail, no matter how long that process takes. It carves the earth into shape and form. Where it is, there is life. Such is the adaptable intelligence and persistence of water, just as is the power of love. So now you're guided by this loving power to drop the doubt, shed the incredulity, and open up the mind. Allow your imagination to be inspired as though you are a child in great garden, hearing the breath of the earth and in the wind whipped leaves and the voices of the ancestors in bird song. Those ancestors. The universe wants something to happen for you, something beautiful, something utterly improbable, and something perfect for your path, your own unique divine destiny. Your mind will wonder if it is even possible. People around you may wonder the same thing, but your heart will be but your heart will burn for it to become real, to become more than a fantastic, improbable dream. You'll want it with all your soul. You may not even be consciously aware as yet what this is great desire is, but your heart knows. It holds the secret knowledge and will unveil it when your mind can handle it. When your heart is much more powerful than your mind, you won't unintentionally block the incredible grace of manifestation seeking to pour into your thirsty soul, like the sweetest, purest waters of blessings. I just want to apologize for the way I read this. I feel like I can, it doesn't sound very fluent, but I hope you make sense out of it. I think it's a great omen, this card saying that impossible is made possible. And I think that no matter how impossible may have felt for you to stay present with this wound and allow yourself to heal it, that is possible, and it's all possible through love. It's all there. It's all there. And there you go. Be gentle with your fear, be gentle with your past, be gentle with your ancestors. Be gentle with your mind just freaking out. Be gentle with the side of you that's being like really, yeah, trying to defend you. And be sure that this is all happening for you. And you are freeing yourself. Look at this child in the sun. He's so happy. He's so free. He's so joyful. That's where you're going with this baby. All right, Taurus, I hope this makes sense to you. If it does, if you resonate with this, please like, share, and subscribe. Feel free to comment. And yeah, may our practice benefit all beings. I'll see you here soon.